Welcome back to Marks and Parks with Brennan. Today we're in California where we'll visit the Redwood National Forest and the city of San Francisco. I'm super excited that Nate and Megan, my sissy, are flying all the way out here to spend time with me. Let's go exploring.
Still got some way to go. It's beating down my soul. Never-ending race. I feel that fire burn.
Our first campground in California was called Redwood's RV Resort. We loved the campground because we had so much room and we were surrounded by the huge redwood trees. This is probably the biggest campsite we've had so far. Before Sissy and Nate arrived, we drove through Jedediah Smith State Park to see some of the redwoods. It's unreal how big the redwood trees are. You almost fall over backwards trying to look up high enough to see the top. They're really big around too. I've never seen anything like these trees. After our drive through the park, we found a visitor center to pick up my Junior Ranger book and find out the requirements for my badge. We also asked about the best trail to hike so that Sissy and Nate can see the best of the redwoods. The ranger recommended a trail at Prairie Creek. When Sissy and Nate arrived, we knew that Nate would want to do some bouldering. So we headed back into Oregon where we had seen some he could access. It was so much fun having them here with me. A few more stops along the Oregon coast to show them the wonders of the natural bridges. Nate really wanted to get down there to explore, but we had other plans for the day.
I feel that fire burn with every twist and turn. Feel the shake. And when the sun goes down, all the stars will shine. I will stand wherever I am.
After our Oregon adventure, we drove into Crescent City to show them the sea lions at the harbor. We come to the harbor daily to relax in the sun on the platforms made just for them. We had fun watching them. They seemed to be arguing with one another like Nate and I do. Sissy thought they were really funny. Next, we drove up to the lookout over Crescent City Beach. There were some amazing views from there. We had seen elk crossing the street on this drive and hoped to show Sissy and Nate, but they weren't here this time.
Through the night, 'cause when the sun goes down, all the stars will shine. I will stand where I am.
On the day of our hike, we drove about 30 miles outside of Crescent City to reach the Prairie Creek Trail. It was a pretty easy hike through the amazing redwood forest. Did you know that redwoods are the tallest trees on Earth? They can grow over 300 feet tall. That's as tall as a football field is long. Incredible! Even though the trees are massive, the cones of the redwoods are only about 1 inch long, and the seeds are as tiny as tomato seeds. It's amazing how something so big can come from something so small. The redwood trees are really special because of their ability to resist natural enemies, like fire and insects. The trees have a built-in feature called tannin that helps protect the tree. They also have thick bark for insulation and high foliage to keep safe from fires. All of these special features of the redwoods allow them to grow and thrive for many years. I thought that was fascinating because it's kind of like the trees have superhero qualities.
Still got some way to go. It's beating down my soul. Never end.
Of course, on our hike, Nate found something to climb. There were 2 trees growing together, so he climbed right up between them. It makes Mom nervous sometimes. We stopped at Big Tree on the trail to have our picture taken. I'm not sure why this tree was named Big Tree. All of the trees were so big. We thought we were hiking a loop, but somehow we got off on a trail that wasn't quite as easy. It had some steep areas and seemed to go on forever. Nate decided to walk along a huge fallen tree that he didn't realize had a weak spot. It gave way and he went tumbling off. Sissy thought it was hilarious, but it scared Mom to death. Luckily, he caught himself and didn't fall over the edge, though Mom sure thought he had.
Young, fierce to fight. Nothing between my dreams, running high on
We finally made it back to the visitor center. I received my Junior Ranger badge, and I also received a patch for completing a special expedition. It was great having Sissy and Nate there this time. We had a travel day with a halfway stop between Crescent City and San Francisco. Mom had no idea that it would be so difficult to get there. Dad definitely did not enjoy driving that route with our fifth wheel attached, but our coastal drive in California was gorgeous. When we arrived at the campground, we realized it was located right on the beach. Westport Beach RV. Our view of the Pacific Ocean was amazing. Mom and Dad even spotted a seal swimming in the waves. It would have been great to stay there more than one night, but we wanted to see San Francisco before Nate and Sissy had to leave. Our final destination with Nate and Sissy was San Francisco RV. It was on a cliff located on the Pacific coast. However, we couldn't get close to the edge because it was actually beginning to erode. Erosion and falling rocks are things we've learned a lot about on this journey. It can be very dangerous. Our campsite at this park was in pretty close quarters. But we knew we'd be out exploring the city most of the time, so it was okay. The first thing we had to figure out was how to get around in San Francisco. Our family isn't used to driving in busy cities, so we decided to use Uber. It works pretty good for us. Mom and Dad had a list of must-sees for the city. Unfortunately, we didn't get to all of it. However, we were able to visit Fisherman's Wharf, where we ate some of the Dungeness crab that had been recommended, and we celebrated Nate's birthday. He decided he didn't want a seafood celebration, as Mom suggested, so we agreed to celebrate again with another meal in the city. We stopped by Boudin's for the famous sourdough bread. It was filled with crab chowder. I actually liked it. We walked around the city and located the famous Ghirardelli Square. They were closing, so we decided to return for ice cream the next day. On our second day in the city, we took a walk to Coit Tower to get a great view of everything in the city. We had no idea about the steep city streets. Did you know that they added steps in many areas of the city because it's so steep and the steps help people from falling down? It was quite a workout for all of us, but the views were worth it.
Wherever I am, wherever I am, wherever I
My mom and dad teach English to Chinese students. They really wanted to take a tour through Chinatown. We found some inexpensive t-shirts for souvenirs, saw some really interesting aspects of the Chinese culture, and ate the most delicious Chinese food we've ever had. Nate loves Chinese, so he decided this would be his birthday dinner. Mom agreed and told him to order whatever he wanted.
Never-ending race, I feel that fire burn with every twist and turn. Feel the shake, and when the sun goes down, all the stars will shine. I will stand wherever I am.
Even though we didn't get to see everything on our list, we took a ferry ride and were able to see one of America's most famous landmarks, the Golden Gate Bridge. My pa told us that it's often foggy here. We may not get to see it very well. In fact, we read that July and August are usually very foggy months for San Francisco due to the high inland temperatures that draw the fog in from over the ocean. The fog is actually helpful for the redwoods because it's a natural cooling and moistening system for them. But it's not good for tourists who want to do some sightseeing. We just happened to be there on the perfect couple of days. There was no fog. We were so excited. Several people told us it was quite unusual to have such a clear day in August. On the ferry, we also saw the island of Alcatraz and the Bay Bridge. It's a suspension bridge like the Golden Gate. I've heard that Mrs. Costa's third graders at my school study bridges. If any of you want to make a model of a suspension bridge, you should definitely research the Golden Gate Bridge and Bay Bridge of San Francisco.
Wherever I
On the third day in San Francisco, we drove Sissy and Nate to the airport for their flight back home. I was sad to say goodbye, but I'm looking forward to seeing them at Thanksgiving. We drove back to the campground and started making plans for our next destination, Yosemite National Park. watching my video. Remember to subscribe and click the notifications bell. See you next week as we explore Yosemite.
Still got some way to go. It's beating down my soul. Never ending race. I feel that fire burn with every twist and turn. Feel the shake, and when the sun goes down, all the stars will shine.